from Atlanta, Georgia, broadcasting around the world. This is the Real World Business Analysis Podcast. And now your host, Karaleise.
Well, hello. How you guys doing? It's your girl, Karaleise. Oh my God, I am feeling so good today. It's a Friday. I left work early. I'm just in this vibe. I feel excited. I don't know. It's just a wonderful day. The sun is out. I'm so happy to be alive. You know, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I don't know if anybody else wakes up and just be like, you know what? I made it to see this day. It's a whole new day. It's a brand new day. The sun is absolutely beautiful. I get to see it again. Like, bro, this is amazing. It's like every day is like a big surprise. Like, oh, it's so good that I got to see this day. And I think it might be because of late I've gotten so fed up with just the state of entertainment. Like, I really don't watch TV that much anyway, but sometimes I get caught into the I call it the scroll hole, where I start scrolling on something and I just keep scrolling, and it's just random things that are like, to me, garbage. You know, like a lot of garbage comes over on my feed. And when I say garbage, I mean just things that sometimes it's entertaining and sometimes it's funny, but it's so fleeting, you know. And I get tired of having to swipe, you know. My thumb doesn't want to be swiping anything. And I might listen to a podcast or two, and that's cool. But sometimes I just want to be entertained, but with kind of wholesome entertainment. And I don't want to hear about celebrity gossip. I don't care about celebrities. I don't want to hear about, you know, other people's personal lives. I don't care. So it's just like I can't find anything I can really, you know, latch on to. I like things that are true. I don't like shows as much because it's also contrived. You know, like somebody sat down and just conceptualized this thing and made this thing up. And yeah, it's entertaining, but sometimes I just don't want to be bothered. But I do go to the movies. It's funny, I don't want to watch TV shows as much, but I will watch a movie, I guess, because the movie starts and ends, and you know what happened within like an hour or 2 hours, whereas the series just keeps going on, and it was like, it's just draining my time. So, but I do watch Bridgerton, right? I do watch Bridgerton, so that's one thing. And back in the day, I watched Game of Thrones a lot, so some things are exceptions. But anyway, I guess I've just been feeling that way of late, and so I've gotten hooked on true crime because it's so fantastical, some of it, and it's like a soap opera, some of it, but it's actually true because it actually happened. These people were alive, and these are the things that actually happened to them. So I've become a little fascinated with that, and I've been watching a lot of true crime and just docuseries about, you know, fatal attractions and all that stuff. And I realized, oh my God, the majority of people that I'm seeing that are like murdered are murdered by people who loved them or who they thought loved them. I was like, oh my God. It looked like being in a relationship is the most dangerous thing you can do, you know. So I've just been watching a lot of that. So now when I wake up and I see a new day, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so happy, because I guess I have the context of some of the gruesome things that happened to people that never saw this day, you know. And it's made worse because the people that did whatever they did to them were husbands and wives and, you know, friends. The majority of the ones I've seen, to be honest with you though, were husbands committing crimes against their wives. Very rarely did you find any of them that was a wife. And if it was a wife, she was more the manipulator. She was the one orchestrating but not actually executing on the crime. So it also gives me a really bad outlook on life. I was like, oh my God, you imagine marrying somebody, loving somebody, and then that's what they do to you. It's like, oh my God. So I've just been like, sometimes I watch these things for entertainment, I guess, and just the awe factor, but also it does give you an impression of just how cruel this world can be, and also how fake people are. Because I promise you, there's a lot of people that are faking having a great relationship, a great marriage, and it's like always putting a good foot forward, and the things that they are enduring behind the scenes is like, I mean, why are you putting out this face when it's so bad in real life? I mean, I'm not saying you should come and air your dirty laundry, but some of them, like there are some examples of people who post the most fantastical things on Facebook and Instagram, and they look like they're just the perfect couple, and the next thing you know, the husband beheaded like, it's just it's so wild. Anyway, you didn't come here for that. I'm just giving you my perspective for why I wake up with such an appreciation every day for the day I get to see, and how I hug my daughter like a little bit longer every day. I do it anyway, but I hug her for a little bit longer. I pray over her. I pray over my family, pray over my house, pray over her school, just pray over the bus driver, like pray over everybody that comes into contact with her and with me, because we definitely need the protection of God, and everything we're doing. So what I want to talk to you about today, I want to talk to you about basically just having a good way of working. That's really the topic today. And why this came up is because I'll tell you a real life situation that's going on right now. So right now we are in the middle of a release, and if you followed software development projects, you know that we build stuff and then we get to a point where we test it all, and then we say, okay, we're at a point now we can release it. So we are ready for the release, and there's a lot of testing that needs to happen. Again, we're working on banking applications for tier 1 banks, right? So it's clearly not a small endeavor, right? There's lots of things to test, but we get complaints, like at the management level, we get some complaints sometimes from coworkers and people who are working on other parts of the project, that the testing isn't documented the way they want it to be. In other words, we have excellent engineers who are executing on the test, and the test cases are documented properly, but in cases where, let's say, we get blocked because we don't have data, or we don't have access, or there's an environment that's down, or something, we didn't cover this particular test case. So the formal test case are written, but all the anomalies that we uncover, the things that we made decisions on to say, okay, we're going to come back and fix this thing, or where we're blocked for whatever reason, there's a feeling that it's not easy to follow. It's not clear, because again, we're dealing with large scale development with lots and lots of people and lots and lots of teams, and even though we may discuss it in our stand-up, the other teams who need to look at the stuff, they don't know what we talked about. They're not always in our stand-up. They have their own stand-up. So there's a little bit of miscommunication, and even though within our team we understand what's going on, somebody from the outside looks in, they see, okay, we have all of these test cases. Let's say we have 40 test cases. We've tested 37 of them. 3 of them are not tested, or they're failed, and they don't know what's going on. Why are we saying that we're giving a pass when we have 3 test cases that are not passed, right? So that's how it works in the real world of work, where we document a lot, especially if you're working in banking. It's like there's a unspoken rule that every decision, everything you do has to have a big long paper trail, and something that you can refer to and audit, and they want to make sure this person did it. Like sometimes there's something that needs to be done, like a comment, for example, on a decision that was made, and we all know what the decision is, but some people are afraid to comment it because they don't want their name to be linked to that decision. Like people are so, like, it's so trackable that if you make a change, the audit's gonna record that you made the change, but it should be somebody else, or maybe there is nobody who owns it and nobody wants to do it because then they become the owner. Like, it's just, there's like an approval hierarchical structure embedded in banking that you can't get rid of. And so everything that's happening, everybody wants to know what's going on, and it affects so many different people that it almost becomes an impediment. It's like you have to document everything that you're doing, but the documentation itself is work. So oftentimes our engineers are busy actually doing the testing, because they have to set up the environments, they have to get the right data, they have to communicate with the developers where there's an issue. There's so much they have to do, and then they have to go document what they've done so somebody else can read it. So the overhead of documenting everything just for the purposes of some manager somewhere to be able to see it can become a lot. And I sometimes advise, hey, execute the test. We'll document what the results are later. We'll document the blockage later. We'll let me know if I can help in any way so I can take that pressure off of you. Because the truth is, if the test is not executed and we don't actually know if the thing works, 1,000 pages of documentation ain't gonna help us. So it's just this dichotomy in corporate world where the emphasis on documentation impedes the actual progress of projects. And this is the entire reason why agile was invented, because we were doing this nonsense in the 80s, the 90s, the early 2000s, and by mid 2000s we have already thrown that away and decided we're all going to be agile, because it's the actual work that's valuable. The work is valuable, and we want to focus on working software over documentation. But in banking, they can't do that, because they just have this approach of everything being recorded and everything being audited and everything being in some report somewhere. And so now it becomes an overhead for us to maintain that, just for them to be aware of what's going on so they can manage anything that becomes a challenge. But in so doing, you end up creating a bottleneck, because the testers now have to stop the test to go document the test they haven't yet done. Right? Or document the blockers that they could have spent the time actually clearing the blockage. So that's the challenge. So what we do when we have these kind of problems is we try to find out if there's any way we can systematize whatever we're doing so that the amount of effort it takes to document becomes less. Can we templatize anything? Can we have a better way of working? Can we create just like a new field or a status that we just change, and we don't have to document as much because the status already explains it, like it just says blocked, and then there is some kind of code that goes in. Like, how can we make it easiest so that we can communicate and make it clear where we are, what's going on, but we also don't create a big challenge for ourselves where we just spend a lot of time documenting and not enough time actually doing the work. So that's what we're doing. And so our ways of working, I've created a ways of working documentation. I've tried to templatize the test cases and the test plans. I've made sure I have a checklist of all the things that we need to check for as we create these test cases. I've also added a definition of done. Like, this is what we mean when we say that we have finished testing, right? This is what it means. And also a template that shows, even though these test cases didn't pass, we are still given a conditional go ahead because we've accomplished this, and this. And we kind of found a way to make it sort of generic enough so that we can use that template for any project that we have going forward. So it was a big exercise, but I did that. And so I'm going to meet with the team on Monday and present it. And it's presenting, but it's not really presenting. It's more like, here's my first pass at this. And I meet with the engineering team And we're going to say, okay, what needs to change? Because you never want to be the kind of leader that comes in with a new plan and here, do it. That's never going to work. As an agile team, you come up with the processes together. So I'm going to make the first stab at it, and then we're going to have a discussion. We're going to change things, take things out that won't work, add things in that I may have missed. Let everybody kind of own this process. And when you own the process, you'll actually follow through with it. And we can try it for the next release. If it doesn't work, we'll throw it away and come up with something else that works. That's totally fine. That's how we work on real agile teams. So this hierarchical structure where we think, oh, you're a manager, so you have to have all the answers, that doesn't work. At least it doesn't work in any of my teams. And I feel like we're doing a great job. So I would encourage you that if you have to come up with something, make a stab at it, do the best you can, and then throw it out to the team. Let the team add to it, remove from it. Say, Karaleise, this is not going to work. This is going to give us more work, more stuff. Okay, fine. We don't do any of that. What can we do? Okay, just want to keep doing what we've been doing. Add comments in there. Okay, but that's going to cause more questions than answers. And if the team says, well, this is the best thing we can do, just make sure we add the comments. And fine, we add comments. Like, I am so ready to do whatever works for the team, because we as a team are all invested in the success of the project. And that's the beauty of working with highly professional people. You don't have to be like behind people. You don't have to be like, running behind them, watching them, over them with a stick. None of that in this world here of software development with highly professional engineers and people who are super smart. You don't have to do that. People just be responsible. People show up. People do stuff. People are owners of stuff. I don't know if it's always this way, but in a lot of my projects, this is the way it is. Doesn't mean that we don't have toxic environments. You don't have people come in there. You're like, what the hell are these people doing? But it's so few and far in between. It's so few and far in between, because there's a big level of respect, and people just know that you can do it and they don't have to watch you. It'll get done. You know what I mean? So that's the beauty of it. So I just wanted to say that the way of working, and this is a term we use, ways of working, is great when you can get collaboration. It's great when there's a problem that you've identified, and then you can stop and somebody takes ownership. Like, I will take ownership of it, make a stab at it, and then get the team together to have a better way of working. And the ways of working are much more fluid in an agile project than other projects. Like in more waterfall environments, they call it procedures, processes and procedures. You know what I mean? Because it's like set in stone. This is what we have to do. We have to follow this procedure. I really hated that. When I was in like lower level jobs and they have these procedures and steps, I always hated it, because I always saw things that weren't working. But I was never empowered to make any suggestions. I was never empowered to even question it. I would always be told this is how the procedure goes, and that's it. Like, some procedure god came up with this and you dare not question this god, right? It was always wild to me. Like, if a procedure doesn't work, why do you have it? If most of the time people are doing something else because what you have documented doesn't work, why do you still have that documented? It never made sense. So I'm happy that in the world of agile, we don't have procedures and processes like that. We have ways of working, because if this way of working don't work, we're going to come up with a new way of working. And it is encouraged. It is actually applauded, actually. And people are so willing to try new things. And I love that. So that's a good thing about being in this agile space and working as a business analyst. So that's what I have for you guys today. I hope you took some value from this. I always go on my little rant, but I'm happy you stuck around. Please go to karaleise.com. Check out what I have over there. Check out my membership program, the Back Office Club, backofficeclub.org. And you can see courses. You can see membership. We have live events where we have live trainings. We have stand-up every Tuesday, every Thursday. We work with our members to make sure that they are ready for the job, ready for the interview. And if you already have a job, we work with you to make sure you're doing the best as a business analyst so you can excel in your career. So if you just got a job as a BA and you don't know how to do the job, come over to the back office club. We'll help you. You have a support system, okay? You can do this. Go out there, earn that 6-figure salary, because you have the back office club to back you up, to make sure you do a good job and earn that money. So I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. See you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Real World Business Analysis Podcast with Karaleise. Remember to check out our latest books, courses, templates, and other resources at karaleise.com. That's KARALEISE.com. Take the fit test on our website to find out if you're a fit for business analysis and get the results right away. Check out our Facebook page at facebook.com/Karaleise. Join our Facebook group called Real World Business Analysis and IT. We're also on Instagram and LinkedIn at Karaleise. Goodbye for now, and remember, you are a business analyst rock star, so keep it real. Peace.